Oh my God, this will make up for the fact that you lied to me about all those cameos. I know
I lied to you about some of those cameos.
I don't know which ones, but just mark it here. Like, there's gonna be a moment we'll clip back to it. I love that y'all like dead-faced me, but like secrets are coming out.
Secrets are coming out, and in 1 week, July 26th, all the secrets come out.
I know I turn everything into a joke, but I care. I want to use that for something important.
Hugh, Ryan, I'm glad I get to talk to y'all again because I feel the first time we spoke, y'all were just like, we don't want to tell her anything. We didn't have any footage. Like, now we've seen stuff.
That was Hugh. He made me say that to you. I was like, I want to say everything.
Listen, I know you want to tell the world. But no, now I can talk to you about all of the crazy things I've already seen you do in this film.
Yes.
And to think it's been 25 years you have almost been playing this character. And I saw you go full Wolverine in this movie all the way. Like, what was the thing? What was the thing that you enjoyed doing? Because when you go feral, like, that was a moment for me.
I'm enjoying your nails right now.
Enjoying my nails. I gotta keep the.
I have notes.
You have notes?
I enjoy the jacket.
I wore the jacket.
I didn't. Actually, one of my best friends said to me, "You have a reservoir of rage in there." That is terrifying.
That is,
it's there.
It's like
it's there.
If instead of gold, if Fort Knox just had pissed off. This guy's loaded.
But it is really, it's the best therapy ever. You've said it about Deadpool. I feel the same. I've never feel more free than playing Wolverine.
Wow.
There's something, he's so, in many ways on the surface, different from me. And yet there's so many parts of him that I love, and there's parts of him I'm thrilled I'm not like, but I love living in that character.
Exactly
I just love
the
it.
Same for me. Yeah.
I love that you show the darkness a little bit in this one too. Like, bring it out. It was the look. You, on the other hand, sir,
yes,
I think you're giving JT a run for his money, because I think since I saw you in Hillside,
so many JTs.
Yes,
hold on.
We're gonna talk about Timberlake.
Trudeau, Justin Tranter.
No, we're talking Timberlake, because I think the boy band, like, we watch you. I'm gonna go ahead and tell folks, do a full-on action sequence with some of the most inventive weaponry I've ever seen, and hit every single step count of bye, bye, bye. That has always been in you.
The fighting part much easier than the dancing part. Had a tremendous amount of help. One might say too much help from a friend, not you, even though it could have been him, but he was zero help. He was like, I want you to fail. Nick Pauley was his name, and he did a lot of that choreography and very much a big chunk, he had credit to him, of the dancing.
Of the dancing.
Yeah, these hips lie. His lips do not. They are actually truth sayers, and and you can tell. It's right there on screen.
I love, again, both of y'all been playing these characters so well for so long, but I loved in this one, you also showed the not so superhero. Both of your guys are kind of up against the ropes. Like, was that the most refreshing part about coming back to this one? The fact that you get to show you a little bit, he's not the best Wolverine. Like, spoiler alert, he's maybe not. And this one, we're just trying to keep that wig on straight. You know what I mean?
No.
It's a little bit of the struggle bus. Yeah.
But I think both of these characters have, you described it well, like they're in a shame spiral. They handle it very differently, but I think that's always, to me, what's been interesting about Wolverine. I'm much more interested, and I find the human part of him a lot more interesting than even the claws and the healing ability, because that's what makes, that's where the rage comes from. That's where so many, and that's where I think people can relate to him. So, yeah.
And I think it's easy to give into the sort of your more base instincts, and just when we were writing the script to go, lean on just the R rating and that kind of exploitive sort of. We really didn't. I was really proud of ourselves to not, we certainly use, I think, the R rating and the freedom it allows effectively, but the thing we really exploited was the vulnerability of these guys. And like you said it best, they're just, they both actually are more alike than dissimilar. I mean, they're both just dealing with tremendous amounts of shame, and I think if you're ever going to create a sort of a differential with gender, I think women are much better at processing shame and not allowing it to drag them to the bottom of the ocean, whereas men really struggle with that. And these guys are dealing with it in very, very polarized ways, and it's a real fun to play.
It was so good to talk to you. I will not be mad when I find out how many cameos you guys lied to me about in that first interview, but you can lie to me one more time and just tell me the truth that this is not the last time we're gonna see you two on screen. Feige and Shawn already pretty much said it.
God, I can't think of a better problem to have than once
again
forfeiting my salary to pay for him.
You know that one? No, everyone else has said it. That's the old.
Look at their
Yeah. That is the oldest trick in the book.
That's the oldest
isn't it?
trick, yeah.
No, we're not falling for that. No, absolutely not.
all
We will
right.
next be seen in
That's
the
okay.
claymation project that he is championing for years that no one would make.
You're well regarded. You were an X-Man. Yeah, you were the X-Man. The Wolverine.
I have to start with the most important question is this film. I really feel you guys had an idea what you wanted to do. You're sort of the architect of it. And one of the themes is like, who gets to be a hero? Who gets to be put into the trash heap? And this idea of like an anchor being. Like, do you have sort of like who you're thinking of now in this next phase of the MCU, who your anchor beings are?
I think we do. But I also love that you picked up on that term. That a few people have asked me about that, and I think maybe it's just the way Shawn and Paradox have delivered that. But I think it resonates with people.
It does.
This notion of an anchor being for a universe, and who is an anchor being in one's world. And in this movie, of course, it's Wolverine.
Definitely dodged, man. I don't think I'm ever gonna catch you slipping on any of it. But let's admit this moment for you, having a Wolverine in a Deadpool movie, getting to play with the X-Men. This is a full circle moment because one of your first gigs was on the original X-Men. What was that like for you when you knew, first of all, obviously when the merger, you know you're gonna get to play with these characters, but really being on set and really producing your first sort of foray into it this way?
Well, you're right. And when Disney acquired Fox, and we knew that of the many assets that they were dealing with, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four that could come home, could be back with us, was very exciting about the future of mutants in the MCU. And during that time, we were also talking with Ryan about what we would do as another Deadpool. How could we elevate Deadpool, which is what Ryan wanted to do, and how could we elevate the MCU with Deadpool? How could we both make each other better? And there were a lot of ideas on how to do that. None of it clicked until Hugh Jackman called Ryan and said, I want to come back.
I want to come back.
I want to come back.
And that phone call, I'm not saying that you almost tried to prevent it, but maybe you slightly discouraged it, folks. Hugh said you were like, you kind of maybe told him, don't do it. It's fine. Enjoy
this
your...
years before that I did.
Yeah.
As when Logan had come out and was such a great movie, we were working on Infinity War and Endgame, where I was trying to stick the landing with sending off our own anchor being. And I thought that, no reason to do it. You've done it. You've done the impossible. Years and years go by. We're working on this movie, and we have the multiverse, and we have the Time Variance Authority, and we have ways to maintain the integrity of what has come before and tell new stories with the same characters.
Yeah. I mean, look, I do love that he said that. He was like, he tried to talk me out. I was like, now he could laugh all the way to the box office about like, but I'm glad you came back because this is a moment that folks are very excited about it. For you, I heard Shawn told me about the no cocaine rule, the no drug rule. I do love that was the only thing that you mentioned on that one, but what were you most surprised as far as where they got to go in this one? If you can preview that a little bit, because I think they even surprised you as far as where they went with this story.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, the truth is, Ryan and Shawn, but particularly Ryan, polices himself more than anyone.
Really?
There is an art to the Deadpool insult, to the Deadpool quip, to the Deadpool crude reference or language, and he actually is the perfect arbiter of what that fine line is. So there was nothing that we would go, Ryan, you can't say that.
Yeah.
There were some things we would laugh at, and he'd go, actually, no, that's too mean, or I can't do that. And the drug reference was simply me saying, that feels like an old Cheech and Chong gag, like it's a sort of an old stale joke, which he then flipped into a now funny joke because everybody asked me about it.
Yeah, you've talked a lot probably about different euphemisms for white powder substance in this junket, so I feel for you on that one. We also, in our research, had a quote from you talking about the fact that you said at one point, if you ever could make a movie on your own, you'd want to make a Dazzler movie.
Did I say that?
You did, yeah.
Okay.
You said that like you would maybe want to do a Dazzler film. We have the quote, so
Okay, I believe you.
We'll hold you to it. Have you made a Dazzler movie?
We have not.
Come on,
We have not.
like I know you're lying. Come on.
You think we've made it and finished it?
I think it's in this one. I think that it'll, like like maybe she pops up. I saw the Evermore picture, and I've just been thinking about a certain singer that may be in it. I don't know. And your face is giving me absolutely nothing. Just once, would you just slip up in an interview and just be like, you know what, Jacqueline?
Probably.
Come
Probably
on.
will happen.
Just like lie to me and pretend that's not the case. No. One thing we do know already, as we've already previewed, is that we're going to see different versions of Deadpool. We're going to see different versions of variant characters that we haven't gotten to experience yet. Is there a character, and we'll assume that you don't have to name anybody in Deadpool and Wolverine that you have yet to play with that you're really sort of itching to next? And maybe one of the smaller ones again. We know some of the bigger ones, but yeah.
Well, there are lots, and most of them are mutants, right? Most of them are thousands of characters we didn't have access to until recently, including Dazzler. Yeah. But that we can finally play into, and working on X-Men 97, which the Marvel Animation team did such a spectacular job on, that just reminds you of how rich and how deep that bench is for the X-Men characters and how excited we are to bring them into live action.
I don't want to get him in trouble, but Shawn did tell us in our interview, when I asked him, I was like, watching what we've gotten to see, it doesn't feel like the end. It doesn't feel like a send-off. It feels like a semicolon in the middle of a sentence, and maybe we'll get to see more of both of these characters. And he kind of told me that that's like kind of the vibes already. So are you going to confirm, deny, or,
I will not deny. Here's what I will confirm is that is a mutual feeling.
Okay.
That the experience was so wonderful working on the movie that if the audience responds to it the way we do, it'd be fun to figure out what's next.
Some of the characters that we're going to get to meet in this one are Cassandra. We're definitely going to have fun with Mr. Paradox. Who are the one you're most excited for fans to see? One you can name, or one maybe even that you could not name, that you're sort of saying to yourself, okay, when they see this, they're going to go ape stuff in the theater.
I mean, I think the truthful answer is the audience seeing where Ryan and Hugh take both of those characters.
Oh, really?
Is what I'm most excited about. The new characters, Emma did a spectacular job as Cassandra Nova. By the way, that's another character that if we talked about this 2 years ago, like what character are you interested in? It'd be fun. I think Cassandra Nova's awesome. I have no idea how we would get her into a movie, and now here she is, which is pretty spectacular.
That is pretty spectacular. Obviously, you were on set. I think Ryan said that the first day when they were walking down there like ketchup and mustard, there were people on the crew literally crying. They were just kind of losing it a little bit as far as how incredible and iconic a moment was. What's that sort of moment for you that you got to witness on set, knowing that you were shepherding this one?
I mean, I've had a lot of those. I've been lucky to have a lot of those moments. And on this one, that same moment, I'd seen Hugh in many Wolverine costumes, never in the iconic yellow, because he'd never done it before. And because I wasn't involved on those first two Deadpool movies, I'd never been in person with Ryan in the full outfit. It is daunting and extremely impressive, both of those guys in their outfits. And the other thing was when Peggy Dogpool came on set for the first time. And you just keep staring and go, this is real. This is a real creature. And she's very cute.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me.
Emma, Mathew, I have seen a little bit of the footage, and what I've seen, y'all are kind of terrifying. I'm going to start with you, though, because Charles Xavier's twin, kind of leading an island of misfit toys, that is, like, pretty, like, antagonistic, like, boots to fill, like, and then with the two most antagonistic guys from the MCU, what was that like, sort of, like, putting them on their heels?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I guess, Deadpool and Wolverine very much wear their power, I suppose, quite externally, quite violently and physically, which everyone knows and loves. So it was quite fun to come in there as Cassandra and mix it up. And she's very much like reserved. You never really know what's going on inside her head. Yeah. And it was really fun to do all these scenes where they just have no idea what to make of this person or what's going on. I think
you're just unfightable.
Yeah. It's like the fun. Finger thing, like it just wrecks everyone. Yeah, and the fact that it is that.
It's very low effort.
the finger thing. The whooshy finger hold.
Yeah. Did you study any of the other Xavier? Did you look at anybody else to be like, maybe we should get the same mannerisms? Or were you like, I'm going to make make her my own?
I really thought about it because I was like, I don't know. It's always that thing of, do you want to watch the references too closely? Because then how hard is it going to be to make it your own? But actually, I did go back and watch Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy's, or bits of their performances. Because I was just curious when like someone's power is so internal in their mind, how that is portrayed, or if there are certain like things that I should be looking for to try and, because you know, the Marvel fans love an Easter egg. They love a little like, oh, we've seen that before.
Oh, we really do.
Yeah.
You are on the other side of it, where I feel like you're a villainous with paperwork and with procedure and with just like all of the worst parts of culture.
Paper villain. Yeah.
They're the worst kind, though. Like
They are really, insufferable.
But talk about Mr. Paradox, because again, you both are in this antagonistic point with Wolverine and Deadpool, and you're fighting them very fiercely in just very different ways.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, you're a proper villain. I mean, but also there's a sort of hinterland with Cassandra that they're probably. I don't know how much Mr. I think Mr. Paradox is like a middle management TVA employee, but I think he would like to be like a proper villain.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's frustrated. I think he's been treading water for a long time, and he really would like to be like a supervillain. He'd like to be Mr. Evil.
I think everybody that works in office will definitely say that your character is scarier in a lot of ways because that sort of bureaucracy is worse. But there is the TVA from the television show, so you kind of have the same question. Did you look at what Owen was doing? Because he plays a different Mr. Paradox.
I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah.
That's, okay.
Yeah.
I could see making
not because I didn't want to. I just
made him completely your own.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're getting to play with time and your character is kind of stationary, did you get to have as much fun with the sort of like timey different variants of it, or were you kind of keeping it stationary on this because you get to play with literally everybody in the sandbox, like in your area?
I think it was just. I mean. It was just really fun. That set was a set.
Mm-hmm. That was wild.
Like
set.
It was, I've never, completely real. There's no digital, nothing. I mean, it was just, you walk on, they built this thing in Pinewood Studios and you walk on and like, okay. Like everything is pickupable.
Everything's real. Wow. Everything's functional.
The buttons all work, even the ones that it's truly extraordinary. So there's not a big leap of the imagination. So it was just sort of fabulous because everything's there. And then you've got, Ryan, with a mask on and sometimes off, but sort of just spewing filth, improvising and making me laugh. And that was really fun and really quite hard at times.
Yeah, because you're both theater actors. Like you guys have done the West End and stuff like that. How was the improvisation? Because that is like rehearsal down to the nines. And, you guys went to theater school. And so how, did you get to just play? I mean, you get to do that on TV as well. So I'm not saying you're not new to it. But how much did you get to play with this one?
There's a bit, you sort of follow the script, but then...
You do. I was nervous about it. I get nervous about the pressure of being funny.
Okay.
But you kind of don't think about it once you're in that environment.
No.
Ryan has a way of making it feel very flowy.
Yeah.
Very
He's like, try this. This is and Sean's got the great gift of creating an atmosphere which is very... You don't feel like...
And the most enthusiasm ever.
Yeah, just a lovely...
I've already talked to him. He's like a morning shot of espresso.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you never feel like you're going to get it wrong. It's just another option, It's like a...
Did you get a good one in there? Did you have like a fun improvised line that you can kind of preview that you were either given or that you got to play on your own? I will say...
My daughter for a long time said, she'd say, Daddy, BT dubs. And then there was a line, I had to say some kind of by the way variation. It wasn't BT dubs, but I said BT dubs and they've kept it.
Oh,
so I feel quite pleased for her and for me.
Was the sandwich work yours?
Yes, that's another moment.
I don't think it was. I think that came from Shawn, yeah.
One of your great moments is eating a sandwich, which is also just so a way to put someone in the how inconsequential they are. Let me eat a sandwich in front of you.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you get to do a bit of improv? Yours is much more serious, but I still think there's probably
a lot of my improv was sort of shut down because they figured out a lot of Cassandra. Weirdly, we actually figured out during the process of making the film because I think we went in thinking she'd be a bit larger than life and quite funny, but I think gradually we realized that she kind of was funny by proxy of just being a bit weird. So I didn't really have to try. But then if I was funny in the scenes, it wouldn't really work with what Hugh and Ryan were doing. So it's actually, I kind of had to play more of a straight person to theirs, which was also a lesson in itself of just tone and how everything has to balance out to make all the parts work.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, where you're at. It's giving like Mad Max, like it's giving dystopian. It's very like, you know, you're sort of like the warlord of everything. That is also, I think, an interesting vibe. Can you talk a little bit about where you guys are at the end of time and sort of being amongst, again, your whole setup there, being the leader of this group? It's very different. We're seeing sort of the rejects of time.
That's the void,
It's
isn't
the
it?
void,
yeah. Void, yeah.
The void. So it's like the bin.
Yeah.
It's like the trash heap of Marvel. It's where everyone's ended up. And I'm queen of the trash.
You're queen of the trash. Can
Yeah.
you preview any of your fun folks that are joining you?
I don't think I can.
You can't say
Can I?
anybody?
No.
We've seen
They're
some
so
of them.
strict.
Otherwise, I'll end up in the Marvel
No.
trash.
Yeah.
We want you to
I'll press the button and I'll fall down.
These chairs just fall. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would. Yeah.
I think
Vaporize.
I think we want you to come back. One of the things that you also sort of sign up for when you join one of these is they're going to make fun of any aspect of what they can. Like, you know, Deadpool is going to make quips. Were we getting a lot of England jokes? Were they really going in on your home country? Because I feel
There's
like
a couple, isn't there? There's like
Yeah.
two baddies, or there's another English villain, or
Yeah.
something that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that one, but I
Yeah.
can't remember that.
because I
Yeah.
think it's like they just, you know, you sign up for like, okay, we're going to get like a
Yeah.
few against some aspect of what we're doing.
I think Hugh Jackman gets the brunt of that.
He does.
It does get
Yeah.
the brunt of that one.
Yeah.
He took the bullet for us in
Yeah.
a big way.
This is your first MCU iteration, and obviously it's now I think the most anticipated movie of the year, most anticipated movie of the summer. Everybody is already sort of buying tickets for it. After your introduction to the MCU, what would you advise anybody else that was joining it, having done probably one of the biggest ones they've put out in a while? Do you have any advice?
I feel like every film in the MCU is so different.
That's
And
true.
particularly
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, I feel like stands alone. Like their decision to build all the sets and not have green screen, because
That's fair.
I was feeling really worried about or nervous about acting in front of a green screen. 'cause
It's
I
quite
haven't-
daunting, that, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
I hadn't
it
done
didn't
much.
feel like that at all, did it?
But there was I didn't
No.
have a single shot with a green screen.
Well-
but then some MCU films do. So I don't know if
What would you give yourself any advice? Would you have said to just me, be like, what would you have told yourself if you could go back to day one you?
I had a really lovely time. I would have just said, just jump in with a big smile on your face. Because it's
Yeah.
everyone, I mean, it's a really lovely, enthusiastic, happy atmosphere. That was my experience.
It is.
Everyone was like, it's going to be great. Let's have fun. And it's a big sandbox.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
So I genuinely, that's how it felt.
Scott used to beg me to wear this suit. So did Doran and Beast. But I couldn't have him thinking I wanted to be there. And it was too late.
Rob, congratulations on the film. Congratulations surviving. Like, honestly, like,
Bananas,
did you
right?
think you would be here? Like, first of all, just making it to the end of that movie. It's the second one, but making it all the way to this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, how gratifying. Yeah, because I can remember, now it would be 7-ish years ago, getting a phone call from Ryan, who'd seen me in a TV show, and he said, I got an idea for a weird character in Deadpool 2. Would you be interested? And just, immediately growing wings and flying to Vancouver to do it. And to now be in Deadpool and Wolverine,
Yeah.
it's just insane.
Yeah, everyone's talking about this film. Everybody wants to see it. It's
Yeah.
the movie of the summer that everyone's saying is the most anticipated. But you get to play Deadpool's best friend in this one. Your relationship has grown over the past sort of 6 years. But where you're at, if you can, catch us up to where we find Wade Wilson, because he's not even really Deadpool where we find
Yeah.
him with you.
Yeah, he's in tough shape.
Yeah.
He's had sort of a crisis of kind of who he is and what he does and why. And he's very down on himself. And he's at more of a mere mortal or even a lower level than that, selling used cars with Peter. So there's only up to go for him.
And you were sort of having to give him pep talks. What's the appropriate formula for picking up a superhero who's invincible to everything? Because, you were really giving, Mr. Rogers, great, I've got you, buddy, sort of, advice here, which is hard when you're like, there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, I think Peter, or any good friend or hype man, sees the goodness in Wade. And Wade's been through a lot. He's done a lot, I mean, how many people has he killed?
Yeah.
A lot of them needed killing, but at the same time, that weighs heavy on the soul, I'm told. And so he needs help, but Peter knows that he's a good guy, and so he's there to give that help.
So Peter definitely, I think maybe his superhero is just being, I guess, the luckiest guy out there, really. Sorry, Domino, because the fact that you're still here says a lot about that. But for you, did you get to play a little bit more on the action side this time? Because I'm like wondering, does Peter get to mix it up, or is he staying on the more safe side of things?
I can say that Peter will surprise you.
Okay.
In this film, and you will see Peter do things that you did not anticipate.
Okay.
And he won't always be wearing a complete outfit of clothing either.
Wow.
Just a little something.
Wow. Let everybody know. Wow. You know what? I don't want to add, I guess you had to do your own stunts on that one, maybe?
Sadly, I did, yes.
Oh, wow. We get to see a lot more Peter. I do dig that. That is a great addition to it. Another thing that is interesting about this one is having Wolverine in this whole universe. When did they tell you that was what was going to happen? And then what was your sort of reaction? Because, hey, doing another Deadpool movie would have been good enough. This really adds even more. It's
so cool every time he comes on screen. They are so wonderful together. Yes, they're friends in real life, and yes, that's important because you can smell it on screen. It's real. But to see Wolverine and Deadpool together is just so great. And Hugh is so funny as Wolverine, because we know Ryan is funny. That's not a state secret. We're not keeping that. That's not part of the vaulted secrecy that Ryan Reynolds is funny. But Hugh as Wolverine made me laugh 200 times because every time he gets exasperated with Deadpool and is like, it's funny every time. Yeah. He's like the greatest straight man I've ever seen. Yeah, there's no diminishing returns on him being a grump. It's just, it's still bars every single time. Another thing that's sort of, I think, a key part of a Deadpool movie is the idea that Shawn lets you all play with what your characters get to say in the improvising line. I was asking Emma and Mathew, and I think they're just too British to admit if they had too much improv. What about you? Are you proud of a particular line you got to play with on this one, or maybe one that sort of that thing Shawn does where he calls it out from the side and you're like, that's hilarious? So here's the thing. They've written an incredible script, right? Like if you sat down and read the Deadpool and Wolverine script, you would be laughing a lot. And you'd be happy. It's a great script. So we shoot what they write to the letter several times, and then I'll say like, hey, what if I did this? And they'll be like, yeah, give it a shot. And so, so they're very prepared, but they're also flexible. So, another reason the films are so great. Do you have a line that you're proud of from one that you got to throw in there? Maybe that made the cut? I remember in Deadpool 2, they were like, do you have any superheroes? And I just, in my own mind, came up with, I said, well, I have both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And Ryan was like, not sure that's a superpower, but... See, you're like witty. I think that I'm sure there's a couple ones even in this one. You're just not telling me because like the Marvel snipers are looking for me right now. Well, you saw the red dot dancing on my forehead. I did. But if you could maybe think of a superhero name, because like Deadpool, Wolverine, like there's some already, Lady Deadpool, like there's a lot of cool ones in this one. Have you thought of what your superhero name might be if you were going to get with one? Maybe Lunch Man. Come on, you could do more than that. Is it just because you're talented with deli meat? What's up? Well, no, I mean, I would, Peter, I love lunch. Yes, that's right. And, it's coming up soon. That's exciting. It's when lunch rolls around every day, you're excited, right? So Lunch Man, people would be like, oh, Lunch Man, that's stupid. But then he brings the lunch and you're like, you know what, Lunch Man, you've delivered again. You've delivered again. Hey, listen, I dig for that one. Your Wade is probably your favorite Deadpool, but we've seen a little bit of some of the other ones. We've seen Lady Deadpool. I think we've seen a couple of them. Do you have maybe either that or some of these other characters that folks are going to get to see? Do you have a favorite that you can sort of tease from us? Because one thing we do know for sure is that there's a lot more people. We just saw that Daphne is back in this one as X-23. So we know there's a lot more coming. Yeah. Is there another one that you're sort of like hoping folks are going to be looking out for that you're excited about? Cassandra Nova is amazing, and she's going to knock people's socks off. So she's very special. So I'm excited for people to get to know her.
But my entire world is right here in this picture. And I have no idea how to save it alone. But you know how to save it.
Shawn, congratulations on the movie. I'm like so excited about it. But the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that this is a movie where you get to break all the rules. Did you have to learn the rules first?
You know, there wasn't a course per se, but I feel like Deadpool School is watching the first two movies a lot, which I had. I mean, the thing is, I was a fan of Deadpool before I ever met Ryan Reynolds. So I knew that the rules of this school are like relentlessly funny, constantly subversive and unexpected. A Wade Wilson who is both absurd and sweet. And so I think a lot of that, I kind of came to this job with a lot of that foundation already.
So there's a great joke that we've already seen a preview about, which is all of the various ways that you guys say cocaine in this movie. They may have to bleep that out, but I have to say it. Was that really a rule? Was there any? And what were the other ones? And
that's the weird thing. I kept waiting for Marvel or for Disney to declare certain things off limits. And the truth is, the only thing they ever asked of us was maybe let's not do the drug use with Blind Al and Wade Wilson. And we promptly literally went home and wrote one of the first jokes we wrote in the script was how Kevin Feige had requested no drug use. But other than that, I have to say Marvel and Disney, I think they understood rightfully that you can't make a great Deadpool movie and sanitize it. And so they didn't even try.
I love that. And yes, I've seen enough to say that right now. One of the things we actually get to see very quickly in the film is how much action is in this movie. Like Deadpool is doing all the Deadpool things, as we like to say.
And it's not just action, right? Like it's not action. Deadpool action is something different than a regular action movie. There's usually an idea behind it that makes it unexpected and original. So in Deadpool 1, it was counting bullets, right? The opening of Deadpool and Wolverine, the weaponry that Deadpool's using is definitely unconventional.
God,
and should we say slightly
sacrilegious?
Sacrilegious. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh my God. Yeah, thank you.
The audience can now can make their own guesses.
They could live with that one. So, but knowing that, what was sort of like the action sequences that you were most looking forward to sort of shooting, and how did you set that all up? Because it is a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I mean, the starting point was, you're doing a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, as any fans of the comics will know. That means they're going to fight each other a lot. Maybe they're going to fight others eventually, and maybe they're going to be on the same side eventually, wink, wink. But the bulk of it is fighting each other, so you don't want action fatigue. You don't want to keep repeating the same choreography or the same style. So the first kind of order of business for me as a filmmaker was crafting a different visual language for each of the fights. So the opening one that you've seen, we're using unexpected weaponry. The one in the void that people have gotten a taste of in trailers, that's wide open space. Another one later is in a very confined and generic space. So how do these superheroes fight in the size of a minivan, for instance?
Oh my gosh.
So finding ways to make each fight different. That was the fun for me. That was the fun for the stunt team, the choreography team, and it really made each fight its own event.
I love how everyone's sort of writing on this between like you and Ryan and Reese, and everyone is really contributing to the language of it. But I'm sure when you're storyboarding, the day that y'all decided that you were going to lean into the variants, I feel like you open up just so many more jokes and like so much more to the Deadpool. How did you pick which variants to use? When did the variants come into the picture?
Well, I mean, there's variants in the void of other characters from the X-Men films and comics. And then there are Deadpoolian variants that we've now teased in some of the marketing. The first thing I want to say, because I really think it's worth naming, it's not just that there were 5 of us writing the screenplay. There were 500 of us contributing to this movie. So for instance, when it was time to storyboard or video previs a fight sequence, I'm getting suggestions from illustrators. I'm getting suggestions from stuntmen and women. Wow. And everyone came to this as a fan and knew that best idea will win. So there are shots in this movie that were suggested by a stunt woman, by a cameraman, by a storyboard artist who was working on another continent from where we were shooting the movie. It was this incredibly enthusiastic and engaged collaboration. And then as far as which variants, here was the thing. When you're in the MCU and anything becomes possible, you have to exert your own discipline. So you don't just throw everything in because you can, though we could have. You wanted characters and variants to contribute to the story. And it was always going to be the Deadpool and Wolverine story. So that gave us certain just kind of judicious discipline to pick and choose. And again, that's where my research did help. I read a lot of Deadpool comics. And that was my introduction to the Deadpool core. And that led to the idea that we've now shown in some marketing where at some point in the movie, Deadpool and Wolverine are squaring off against a lot of different kinds of Deadpools.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I don't want to tease too much of it, but folks have already seen like the lady. Do you have a favorite one? Like, there's Lady Deadpool that people are already talking about.
There is Lady Deadpool. There's Cowboy Pool that we've shown a hint of. There are some, I love those, but there's a few. I don't want to give it away.
You don't want to give it away, but maybe just give us a hint.
He doesn't have a whole body.
Oh, wow.
That's my favorite. I think he's the...
I really do love that you guys had so much fun.
And that I censored myself for our interview.
I do love this. Like, I can just tell, like, just based on what y'all said, y'all had so much fun making this movie. But I'm sure there was days that were challenging. Like, can you just tell us, which was the day that everybody was kind of like, okay, we know this is going to be the one, we got to dial it in because it's got a lot moving on? Because
I'll tell you what, in the third act of the movie, in that sequence I just hinted at where Deadpool and Wolverine are confronting a big army, you know you've got 35 shots to get today. You know the sun is going to set and there's nothing we can do about it. You can't throw money at that. You can't throw manpower at that. It's going to happen. And so on those days, and this is where I love Ryan and Hugh so much, we had fun every day, but we also come to work. We come to do our job because we know our job is a privilege. So on those days at the beginning of the day, I'm like, gang, we're going to huddle up, we're going to focus up, and we're going to move downfield together. And I lead the team in a kind of sports analogy kind of way because that's what it takes. It takes a team effort to get those super ambitious shooting days done.
Oh, I love that. And I would like to be on Coach Shawn Levy's team. Like, I feel like the motivation.
He's over the top. Coach Sanders got nothing on me.
He's got nothing on you. Well, speaking of which, I feel like after this one and the fact that it's the most anticipated movie of the summer, on a lot of our lists, it's the most anticipated movie of the year. Fans are already talking about it. It's already breaking records. This might not be it, right? I mean, come on.
You know what? I'm going to give you the respect of a clear answer. This definitely might not be it.
Okay, I appreciate you not lying to me.
I have had so much fun with Marvel, and Marvel seems to have had fun with me, and I don't think we're done with each other.